Okay, you ready to dive deep into some Nobel Prize-worthy science?
Absolutely.
This year's award for physiology or medicine has me totally geeking out because it's all about a discovery that's completely revolutionized how we understand our own cells.
I'm excited to hear about it.
We're taking a look at Press Medicine Prize 2024-2.2.pdf, and let me tell you, it's packed with some seriously cool science.
I've already been digging into it, and there's so much to unpack.
Imagine your DNA as this incredibly detailed cookbook, right?
That's a good way to think about it.
It has all the recipes your cells need to function. But here's the thing. Even with a cookbook, you don't just make every recipe all the time.
Right. You pick and choose based on what you need.
You pick and choose based on what you need. Turns out our cells do the same thing with our DNA.
That's a great analogy. For a long time, we thought the main way our cells controlled which recipes they used was through these things called transcription factors.
So like on and off switches for our genes.
They'd bind to the DNA and basically act like on and off switches for our genes.
Like a conductor bringing different sections of the orchestra in and out, right?
Exactly. But what's so amazing about this Nobel Prize-winning discovery is that it revealed a whole other layer of control, something we didn't even know existed.
This is getting interesting.
Two scientists, Victor Ambros and Gary Ruvkun, were on the case.
And they were using those tiny roundworms, C. elegans. I heard scientists love working with those.
They're incredibly useful for studying development.
That makes sense.
Ambros and Ruvkun were looking at how C. elegans develop, how all their cells specialize at the right time to form different tissues, and they stumbled upon these mutant worms that had some really strange developmental issues, like their cells were hitting the pause button at totally the wrong times.
Okay, so something was definitely up with these mutant worms.
Definitely.
How did they even start to figure out what was going on at a genetic level?
Well, they were looking at specific genes they thought might be involved. Ambros was studying one called Lin4, and he found it produced this really weird, short RNA molecule.
What was so weird about it?
And the strange part, it wasn't a recipe for a protein.
Wait, that's not typical.
Typically, RNA is like a messenger carrying the recipe from DNA to the protein-making machinery.
So it's like finding a note in the cookbook that doesn't actually tell you how to make anything.
Exactly. It was a total head-scratcher. Meanwhile, Ruvkun was looking at another gene called Lin14, and he found that Lin4 seemed to be somehow controlling Lin14, but not in any way anyone had ever seen before.
So Lin4 was affecting Lin14, but not in the typical way.
It was like Lin4 was whispering to Lin14 instead of shouting.
Ooh, this is where it gets juicy, right? Two scientists, two seemingly separate puzzles, and then bam.
Bam is right. It's like they found the missing pieces of a puzzle and realized they fit together perfectly. Ambros's weird little RNA molecule from Lin4, it matched up perfectly with a sequence in Ruvkun's Lin14 messenger RNA, the one that normally tells the cell, hey, make this protein.
Wait, so instead of turning the gene off directly, this tiny RNA from Lin4 was intercepting the messenger, basically stopping the protein from ever being made.
You got it. It was like discovering a secret back channel of communication within the cell, and it completely changed how we think about gene regulation. They call this tiny RNA molecule microRNA, and when they published their findings in 1993, it sent shockwaves through the scientific community.
I bet. This wasn't just tweaking the recipe a little bit. This was a whole new way of controlling what gets cooked up in the cell.
And it gets even more interesting. You see, at first, some scientists thought, well, maybe this is just a weird thing that happens in worms.
Makes sense, right?
But then Ruvkun made another groundbreaking discovery.
This is where we enter sequel that's even better than the original territory, right? Tell me more.
Remember how some scientists thought microRNA might just be a worm thing? Well, Ruvkun found another microRNA called Let7, and it blew that idea out of the water.
Okay, Let7. This is the big reveal, isn't it? What's so special about this one?
Let7 is like the ultimate ancient whisper. It's not just found in worms, it's found in everything, from flies to mice to us.
No way.
Yeah.
Really?
It's practically unchanged across millions of years of evolution.
Whoa, so if it's that fundamental, that conserved across so many different life forms, it must be doing something pretty important, right?
Absolutely. That's what got scientists really excited. They were like, wait, if this tiny RNA is so crucial that evolution has been holding on to it for eons, what's it doing in us? What happens when it goes wrong in humans?
That's the question, isn't it? We're talking about a whole new level of control over our genes, and we know how important genes are. So what did they find? How does this connect to human health?
The floodgates opened after that. Scientists started finding microRNAs everywhere, not just in worms, but in humans too. And they weren't just involved in development, they were fine-tuning practically every process in our bodies. Immune responses, metabolism, even how our brains work.
Okay, so we're talking about way more than just cells hitting the pause button during development. This is impacting everything. But you said something about things going wrong. What happens when these microRNAs don't work the way they should?
That's where things get really interesting and a little bit scary. Remember how microRNAs can control what proteins get made? Well, imagine those proteins are involved in something like, so, keeping a cell from growing out of control.
Oh, so if a microRNA that's supposed to keep things in check isn't working properly.
Exactly. You could end up with a cell going rogue, dividing uncontrollably, and potentially leading to cancer.
Okay, that suddenly got very real. So are you saying microRNAs are directly linked to cancer?
In many cases, yes. Scientists have found that microRNAs are often out of whack in cancer cells. Sometimes they're overactive, sometimes they're not active enough, but either way, it can throw a wrench in the cell's normal workings and contribute to cancer development.
Wow. So it's like these tiny RNAs hold a surprising amount of power over our health. But if scientists know how these microRNAs work, can't they use that knowledge to develop new treatments?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what researchers are working on right now. It's a whole new frontier in medicine. Imagine being able to deliver a specifically designed microRNA to a tumor to shut down the out-of-control growth, or to boost the production of a protein that helps fight the cancer.
That's incredible. It's like having a molecular scalpel targeting the very instructions that are going haywire in a disease. Are scientists already testing this kind of thing?
It's still early days, but the possibilities are incredibly exciting. There are already clinical trials underway for microRNA-based therapies for various types of cancer, and some promising results are emerging. But it's not just cancer. Remember how I said microRNAs are involved in all sorts of processes in the body?
So we're talking about potentially treating a whole range of diseases by fine-tuning these microRNAs. What else are scientists looking into?
Well, there's fascinating research on microRNAs and heart disease.
Heart disease.
Turns out they play a role in everything from regulating blood pressure to controlling how the heart develops after a heart attack.
So could we potentially use microRNAs to help the heart repair itself?
That's the hope.
That would be amazing.
There are also studies looking at microRNAs in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's.
Wow, even those.
These diseases involve the loss of specific brain cells, and some researchers believe that manipulating microRNAs might offer a way to protect those cells or even promote their regeneration.
It's mind-boggling how much potential these tiny molecules have. And to think it all started with 2 scientists and some worms.
It really speaks to the power of basic research.
It really shows you how powerful basic research can be.
Absolutely. Ambros and Ruvkun's curiosity about how worms develop opened up this whole new world of gene regulation. And now, just a few decades later, we're talking about potential treatments for some of the most challenging diseases we face.
It's like that quote, the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. This discovery has blown open our understanding of how our own cells work, and we're only just beginning to explore the possibilities.
And the most exciting part, we've only scratched the surface. Who knows what other mysteries these microRNAs hold? What other breakthroughs are waiting to be uncovered?
It's almost like we've stumbled upon a secret code within our own cells, and now we have the chance to decipher it. So, for everyone listening, this is a reminder that sometimes the biggest discoveries come in the smallest packages. Keep asking questions, stay curious, because you never know what amazing secrets the world is waiting to reveal.
Well said. And who knows, maybe someday, thanks to the pioneering work of scientists like Ambros and Ruvkun, we'll be able to treat diseases by speaking the cell's own language through microRNAs.
Now that's a future I'm excited to see unfold. Thanks for diving deep with us on this incredible journey into the world of microRNA. Until next time, stay curious.